Yo, Yamamo, Aqua Bashron, so eba POG Media, so messages are fegi, and as well, but you may so subscribe, like you may and share, then for friends, when some can be kindly click on the notification bell, so young quay and some new find some donano, and bro, I bought a dear rat, I am Russia, but your fee in a ho, and I ye Okudzeto, a black Akuffo, not me say as a winning and say catcher on her hair, Unimu, and someone Okudzeto, and the Bible to Jano. Rebel Hopa is about the scamming and everything that is going on. I just say, Sefim pay ya, and also a year for 2 hours. So, Ankasano will be to me at the atu for any afro. Now we are bra or encounter a NPP MPs, and I just say, or ma and Pokra NPP MPs, and not omu agree or mupa ye young call. Now you go to and some Okudzeto edituja.
I'm grateful to you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in recent years, a significant number of vulnerable Ghanaians, particularly the youth, have fallen victim to the increasing activities of cross-border fraudulent syndicates operating in some African countries, including Côte d'Ivoire, under the banner of Qnet International, popularly known as Qnet. The syndicates taking advantage of Ghanaian nationals mostly comprise fellow Ghanaians who lure unsuspecting compatriots to supposed transit countries in West Africa. These countries include Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, and others, under the pretext of facilitating their further travel to France or other destinations in Europe or elsewhere for paid jobs. The traffickers entice the victims to travel to the supposed transit countries for the processing of their visas, as the procedure takes longer to complete in Ghana. However, the supposed transit country, in the case of Côte d'Ivoire, eventually becomes the final destination of the victims, where they are held captive in isolated locations and forced to lure their relatives and close friends as new victims into the criminal network. The following key points may be noted. According to the Ghana Embassy in Abidjan, the clandestine nature of the operations of the scammers and the silent arrival of victims in Côte d'Ivoire makes it challenging to determine the exact number of Ghanaians being held hostage in Abidjan and other Ivorian cities and towns. However, the mission estimates that there are over 500 Ghanaians between 20 and 40 years of age who are currently held in secluded locations across Côte d'Ivoire. Efforts are being made to bring them back home. Our mission in Nigeria, Mr. Speaker, has recently rescued and repatriated a total of 202 Ghanaians, 78 through the Abuja mission and 124 through the Lagos mission. The initial monetary commitments were paid to Ghana registered mobile money numbers, which are charged frequently. Victims used to pay between 18,000 and 35,000 Ghana cedis for the intended travel. However, recent schemes which advertise jobs in countries such as Canada, France, Belgium, and others require victims to pay between 30,000 Ghana cedis and 40,000 Ghana cedis. The scammers demand payment of half the amount to Ivorian numbers, after which they are requested to travel to Côte d'Ivoire to continue the process and pay the remainder of the visa processing fees. The majority of leaders of the Qnet groups in Côte d'Ivoire are Ghanaian nationals. So, Mr. Speaker, our analysis so far indicate that communities in Côte d'Ivoire identified as Qnet hotspots include the following: Bonduku, Abenguru, and Agnebelukru. In the eastern part, I hope I have done my best. These are difficult names. largely located in the eastern part of the country. On the southern part, Mr. Speaker, communities in Dabu, Jackerville, Songon, and in Jem are also being monitored closely, where we suspect that a considerable number of our youth are being kept. We are also, Mr. Speaker, keeping an eye on Kumasi, Yupugon, Ajami, and Bingaville, all in the Abidjan district, Yamoussoukro and Dimpogro in the central part of the country, and Isia, Daloa, Gagnoa, and Man in the western part of Côte d'Ivoire are the trouble hotspots our mission in Abidjan has identified so far. The actions we have taken, Mr. Speaker, so far include collaborating with relevant Ghanaian and Ivorian authorities, not leaving out Interpol and the ministries of foreign affairs in the affected countries, in the case of Côte d'Ivoire and in the case of Nigeria. We continue to take measures to address this challenge with the objective of raising public awareness, bringing the traffickers to justice, and facilitating the return of the victims to Ghana. Rescue and repatriation of victims and prosecution of traffickers. Reports on the victims of Qnet scheme are usually received from their relatives or friends. Complaints may be made to the ministry, the Ghana Embassy in Abidjan, or security authorities in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, including the police and custom officials. Upon receipt of a request for assistance, the ministry communicates the information, including possible location of the victims and contact details, to the embassy to liaise with Ivorian authorities and the Ghanaian community to investigate the case and provide the victims necessary consular assistance. In some cases, the information is shared with Interpol Ghana to assist. To understand the operations of Qnet groups and adopt appropriate countermeasures, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ghana Embassy in Abidjan is collaborating with security agencies in Côte d'Ivoire to investigate the activities of the groups, rescue the victims, and repatriate them. Investigations have revealed that the majority of the leaders of the Qnet groups in Côte d'Ivoire are unfortunately Ghanaian nationals, mainly former victims of the scheme, who are indoctrinated, coerced, and trained to become leaders of new groups, some with the hope of recouping the money they lost. Together, the aforementioned institutions have conducted targeted joint operations over the years to rescue victims and repatriate them to Ghana. From 2021 to date, they have altogether rescued a total number of 230 victims. Available statistics indicate that over 30 victims were rescued and repatriated between January and March 2025, in some cases with the help of Interpol. In situations where leaders of the syndicates are identified, they are detained and tried by authorities in Côte d'Ivoire. In most cases, the cost of repatriation has been borne by the families of the victims, the leadership of the Ghanaian community in Côte d'Ivoire, as well as staff of the mission. The embassy is collaborating with both Ghanaian and Ivorian transport operators plying the Ghana-Côte d'Ivoire route to assist in identifying and intercepting victims traveling to Côte d'Ivoire. The embassy also liaises with Ghanaian and Ivorian border agents to identify victims seeking to enter Côte d'Ivoire and prevent them from reaching their scammers. In addition to the rescue and repatriation exercises, Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Embassy in Abidjan has enhanced cooperation with the leadership of the Ghanaian communities in Côte d'Ivoire to create awareness in the various communities and among family members in Ghana with the objective of preventing further trafficking. Since 2023, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has intensified its engagement with relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, including the Ministries of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Interior, Labor, Jobs and Employment, the Ghana Immigration Service, the Ghana Police Service, the National Security, and Interpol, among others, to identify ways of addressing this menace. Key among the measures being taken is the implementation of a nationwide sensitization program on regular migration and human trafficking, which is scheduled to commence by the end of September 2025. The sensitization program will target the youth and other vulnerable groups and communities. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has held 2 stakeholder meetings on the campaign in June 2025 and is arranging the 3rd meeting to be held in the last week of this month to further discuss the modalities of the sensitization. In addition, government is negotiating labor agreements with other countries to provide credible employment opportunities abroad for interested Ghanaians and thereby reduce the vulnerabilities that lure the youth through these trafficking schemes. A committee comprising some of the aforementioned institutions has met 4 times already since January and June 2025 on some of the draft agreements between Ghana and countries such as Kuwait, Italy, Germany, Qatar, among others. In spite of the aforementioned efforts, Mr. Speaker, resource constraints and the proliferation of social media platforms, which enhance the ease with which scammers are able to reach vulnerable persons, make the challenge increasingly daunting. Besides, these fraudsters are continuously diversifying their operations to avoid detection of their fraud and to circumvent the countermeasures being implemented by governments across the West African region. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs would therefore encourage all Ghanaians to acquaint themselves with the evolving modus operandi of those Qnet scammers and assist in creating awareness in their families and communities. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is appreciative of the collaboration it has had with other MDAs in Ghana and authorities in Côte d'Ivoire in taking joint action towards tackling this menace, which is causing significant financial strain and emotional stress on affected Ghanaians and their families. The ministry will continue to take necessary measures to ensure the public is well informed on this fraudulent scheme and ways to avoid becoming victims. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes. No, let me give it to the owner of the question first. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I really appreciate the elaborative response by the Minister. But, Minister, it will interest you to know, in my constituency, I have about 30 young men and women who are falling victim to this. As you said in your response, mostly this scheme, the report comes from the family, because when the young men and women fall victims to this, they do not have access for you to even get in touch with the families or any other person. Since we've identified some of the areas within Côte d'Ivoire where most of these issues happen, would you consider another extensive collaboration with them and see how we can...
Yo, Nyamisha, so Guswa, Ushijmedian on Kahona on Terwashim, not on Yokase. Okudzeto etwaso adding some dodona a day etuja, but before say about call a of fine tossing you, the message so best subscribe, like you median share, nema afro and so answer in can be kindly click on the notification bell, no so send a bay the news be to platform no so
read those areas, targeted areas, so we can get victims out of these. As I speak to you, a teacher who is gainfully employed had to be lured to sell his house and then gather money from family members. And as I speak to you, he is part of these people who cannot be found. The issue is we don't even know whether some of these people are alive or they are dead. So it is an urgent call on us as a country to make sure we get this. So, Minister, I still want to know how we can get these things done and see whether we can get our people back in the country. Thank you.
Minister, did you hear the question? Okay, that's fine.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since colleagues want to know the gravamen of the question, I was listening carefully. He is asking if we intend to further collaborate with the security authorities in Côte d'Ivoire to rescue Ghanaians who remain missing. He talks about a teacher in his constituency who is amongst the victims. Let me use this opportunity, and I'll urge colleagues in this House to all join hands with us at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to educate our citizenry. I mean, why sell your house, sell other properties, go for loans to give money to these scammers only to end up not only being defrauded, but you are now having to face a situation of kidnapping where your family, your member of parliament, your chiefs, nobody knows where you are and you cannot be located. And it imposes a lot of stress, financial burden on the ministry, on our missions abroad in carrying out these operations to locate you. We want to urge Ghanaians to avoid irregular migration. All of these schemes, if you want to travel, please deal with embassies directly. Either you are going online or you are proceeding to the embassy following the processes that they have outlined, depending on the country in issue. So, Mr. Speaker, we really have to intensify public education and public awareness. I would also especially want to appeal to the NCC, the National Commission on Civic Education, to assist us to educate our compatriots to stay away from these schemes. Nobody can help you travel abroad if the person is not a recognized embassy official working in a consular department that issues visas. So deal directly with the embassies and high commissions. Do not go through middlemen. But let me assure the dynamic member of parliament that we continue to work with our counterparts in Côte d'Ivoire. If you have any more information, particularly on identity, let us have those details, and we will share them with our counterparts. And we continue to really rescue. As I indicated, so far we have rescued over 400 Ghanaians who had been kidnapped, and we will continue to intensify efforts to get our compatriots back. But let's all join hands in public education so that our young people will not fall victim to these schemes. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Speaker, thank you very much. I must thank my senior comrade.
Aha, any other Jumedian ABC Ade, I'm a message or subscribe, like a Jumedian share, Nema Afofro, and so answer in cabin. Some panady, you will never Yadaba Bremo, Marco Marcona, Monso, Mania be at POG Media Day. Mormonim say Yanum went in the Mr. Modebia Jabre, Senior Oyana de Biano. We appreciate you all. Yami insurance at the piano. Oh yes, Eddie and my yin to never call. Not your car subscribe and I say I call not your Jumedi for fro at the Akroma.